I am your host, Celia Anderson. I am Director of Business Development for the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. Our regular host, Linda Logan, who is our Executive Director, is taking one off, and I'm happy to fill in because this is my passion, women's basketball. I'm a former student athlete, played at Arkansas, but I have some superstars for you today. We'll be discussing a little bit of Title IX, the state of women's basketball, but enough about me. Let me introduce you to my guest here today. So the first person I want to introduce to you is Tanisha Benson. Tanisha Benson is the Executive Director of Ohio Girls Basketball Report, and it is pretty much a scouting service that provides information on the prospective student athletes to college coaches. She's also a former UC Bearcat, and she is an Ohio native, played basketball all her life, and she is the host of a tournament we have coming this weekend to our City Classic in the city. Tanisha, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Celia, and the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
All right. Next up, we have Tamika Jeter. If you guys don't know her, you don't know women's basketball. She is a GOAT. She played at the University of Connecticut. UConn, for those of you guys who don't understand what that means. She's the only one of us, I think, who has national championship rings, 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken. So Tamika Jeter is the head coach and a senior associate AD at Wittenberg. Like I said, she played at UConn with some of the greats, winning a couple of titles before moving on to a very successful WNBA career. Tamika, thank you for coming with us. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. Thank you. And last but certainly not least is Special Jennings. You guys should know Special. She is coaching one of the powerhouses that are in the top 25, Mount Verde, that she has done wonders at that academy. She is also an Ohio native, and she played at Xavier. So we're going to try to keep her and Tanisha separated here, because that crosstown rivalry, I'm sure it's probably still a little bit of that happening. Special, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll try to keep it neat.
I don't want you to keep it neat, Special. I just want you to be you, because that's why I wanted you here, because I do follow your social media and I love some of the things that you post. You're brave, pretty much what Title IX is all about, empowering women. You certainly do that. So please don't keep it neat.
Thank you. Boo, you see. There you go.
All right, guys. So for everyone who doesn't know, Title IX turns 50 this year. And every girl who is currently playing basketball has benefited from this legislation. And just to give you guys a brief history for people who don't know about that legislation, in layman's terms, it's pretty much a federal law that makes it illegal to discriminate against any person on the basis of sex in any federally funded activity. So 50 years we've been benefiting from Title IX. I like to say that I am the first generation, to kind of benefit. Probably every guest on here is the first generation to benefit of it, but the current kids are truly the second generation to benefit from this act. So Tanisha, we'll start with you really quick. Can you give us a quick history of OGBR, and then just kind of give us your opinion on how you think Title IX has influenced your business?
Yeah, so OGBR, we're going on 25 years of business, of helping girls, ladies at all ages, play at the next level. A lot of the women or young ladies in Ohio have aspirations to play college basketball. And we know it takes a lot of people to help get those young ladies there and to build Ohio. Ohio is the 3rd most recruited state in the country. And a lot of that is because of the work that OGBR has done and community members in basketball of Ohio. So we spend all our time pretty much connecting the dots for these young ladies between themselves and parents and the college coaches, and making that work and that transition to be easy for them. So that's what we do. Title IX has definitely helped OGBR, made it possible. There's a lot of things that our young ladies, to even say that we're the 3rd most recruited state in the country, Title IX. because you get access to these young ladies. Opportunity has been created for these young ladies. And these ladies it's not just a dream, it's a reality that they can play to the next level. One, get their college degree, right? Play awesome basketball, get to travel the world. It's just blossomed into a bigger and better life. And not everyone is fortunate to have money or resources, but because of the game, it has created a even playing field for a lot of people, especially in Ohio, but across America. So OGBR, we're definitely thankful for Title IX, for sure. And we are definitely steamrolling ahead to continue that legacy and that law for sure.
Yeah, so one thing that you said that was very interesting to me, third most recruited state. Now, I knew that just because when I moved to Ohio and I found that it was a women's basketball hotbed, I was in heaven. If you notice my background here, I had to put up our Final Four that we hosted. Shameless plug, we'd love to host it again, but so third most recruited state. Who is 1 and 2?
Ooh, okay, Celia, I'll mention them. You know what? They go back and forth, Texas and California.
Oh, you know what? Both of those are huge states. So you think about how small Ohio is to be number 3.
There you go, Celia. There you go. Yeah, there, atta girl. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep, the size. For us to be as small, comparatively as far as size and the amount of young ladies that play, oh yeah, we're a hotbed for sure. You want good basketball players, you're coming to Ohio for sure.
Right. So let's move on to special. So along those same lines, tell us a little bit about your playing background and how do you feel Title IX helped you get to where you are now?
Oh, wow. I mean, I played at the best college in the state of Ohio. That's shade to them, but yeah, Title IX, it is, obviously the same thing. We afforded opportunities that may not have happened had it not been. When I was at Xavier, we were awarded or afforded the same, funding and different things that the men were getting. I know it was a big thing prior to that, but I mean, when I was there, we were just as good. So it's definitely helped on every level. The high school level, I speak to where I'm at now, and here in Montverde, the men's program has been phenomenal for years. Kevin has won, I think, 7 national championships, and I'm afforded the same resources, and I hold the same value with me only being here 2 years as he has, with him being here 10. So I think the Title IX is great. It's helped women like myself and all the women on here be able to have a voice and utilize that voice and kind of, say the things that we need to be successful. I think that we're deserving to be have a seat at the table. We have the knowledge, we have the experience, and we're just as smart. So I'm ecstatic about Title IX and what it's done for the game of women's basketball.
Yeah, and special, we are really proud of what you're building down in Montverde. In 2 short years, like I said in the beginning, that team has really turned around. So kudos to you and your program. Before I move on to get to Miss Yukon, I want to know, where did you play your high school basketball?
I played at East Tech for 3 years, and then I graduated from Lutheran East.
Yeah, and you played in any of the classic events?
I did. I beat T. Benson in it.
I don't remember that, Celia. I don't think that's how it went.
I'm a product of OGBR and the classic, and every year, so it was great. And then actually, I think Meek was at Ohio State when I was a kid, like when I was
recruited special.
Yeah. So
yes, and she has very unique names of her siblings. I think it was Christmas and one Christmas.
No, it's Treasure, Wonderful, and Destiny.
Treasure.
Wonderful Destiny. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Tamika, I'm glad you chimed in because I like to bring up the UConn thing because UConn was pretty much one of the first women's basketball powerhouses and has pretty much maintained that for as long as I can remember in the game. So certainly, Tamika, I see your face there. But has pretty much maintained it for, as long as I can remember in the game. So can you just tell us a little bit about your college experience and how you think Title IX was instrumental in that as well?
Yes, I think that Title IX has been instrumental. I have a sister, older sister, who's 9 years younger. I mean, 9 years older, sorry. And I have a sister who's 6 years younger.
Oh,
So I fell in love with basketball at another MAC school. Unlike OU at Bowling Green State, my older sister went to Bowling Green State. And I used to watch those games. And I think all 4 years they went to the NCAA tournament. I remember 2, they lost to Florida. And I was just a little pigtail kid, you know, sitting at a game, falling in love with the game. She never played on television. So then you get to Connecticut. Of course, you're on TV all the time. From a Title IX perspective, from a monetary perspective, my freshman year, I remember Coach drove a Bonneville. When I graduated, he was driving an Escalade. The amount of money that coaches were making at the time escalated. And I'm just saying on the women's side, right? Jim Calhoun had his BMW. Gino did not at the time. We were a Reebok school, if you remember, under Rebecca Lobo. As soon as Swin and I signed, we were a Nike school. Okay. And I remember the Nike reps at the time, one being that I'm still really good friends with, they would come to all our games. So Title IX moved in so many ways. We could talk about Connecticut and those years and winning and all that stuff. But from a monetary standpoint, we went from playing at Gamble Arena on campus, which hosted 10, to playing half our home games at the XL Center, which hosts 20,000. So the amount of coverage, the amount of TV, ESPN games that got picked up, all that stuff matters in growing this game. To now, let's jump 20 years ahead from that situation. And now name, image, and likeness has become something we talk about. And so I saw after 1 year, they kind of posted like how much money is going into all these different sports, and women's basketball number 2 behind football. So you have young women who are going to these universities, unlike me, Special, you, and Benson, and are able to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. And I'm talking about you're not thinking about the golf player at Bowling Green who's making money in that area, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that, we don't talk about, but women's basketball is second to football in generating income from a name, image, likeness standpoint. So to see this thing move to a point that it is today, that women are valued for what we should be valued, is special. It also creates a sisterhood, right? We talk about you and I playing against each other. When I was a freshman, you were a sophomore. I recruited Special. I wanted Special to Ohio State so bad. I couldn't talk about her enough because, I'm not surprised at her success. I'm not. And I know where Special is from. Okay. I'm not surprised because she was a dog. She's a little person. People can't tell by this video, we all look the same size, but she's a very petite little person. She's always been that way, but the fight in that kid is unbelievable. So I'm not surprised by it, but I recruited Special, and I know Special, and I know I used to come to all her games, and I recruited Jantel Lavender to Ohio State. And with Benson, my baby sister was on the first Queen City Jaguars team, the very first year, the very first team that Tom Jenkins and Benson and put together, my baby sister was on. So it creates a sisterhood, and we're able to, all come together and impact and just be cheerleaders for each other. But none of that exists if we're not on the same playing field. And I think that's what Title IX has afforded women in sports, is we all get an opportunity to have an opportunity.
Thank you so much. Those are great comments. Special, I want to give you a chance to kind of elaborate on a little bit on the stage that Tamika has set here. Title IX, it's bigger than just being sure the girls have the same locker room. We're talking about endorsements, we're talking about money, we're talking about all kinds of things. Can you tell us just a little bit at the prep school level, some changes and some things that you saw happen? You touched a little bit earlier on, you having the men's coach who was winning and you being afforded some of those opportunities. So
Yeah. I think it just goes hand in hand. When we talk about sponsorships, this year we are fortunate enough, I'm partnered with Dr. Dish. So outside in my office, we have a $10,000 shooting machine. Just got sponsored fully by Gatorade. Got a 5-year contract with Nike. So just different things that's great for my program. As far as traveling, I think I was sharing earlier, we've only played 5 home games so far this season. And we've been to, Texas, Carolinas, Tennessee, we're coming to Ohio. We were supposed to go to Georgia. We'll be going possibly to DC and back to the Carolinas. So, we're getting that feel of, I don't have a prep team. I have an elite high school team, but my ladies are getting that feel of college from at an early age. I don't know another high school that has traveled as much as us. And it could be some across the globe or what have you, but there's a lot of states that have travel bans, and so they can't leave their state and different things. Mm-hmm. But we're afforded the opportunity where these young ladies, they live in a dorm, they live on campus, they're getting that experience, and it's all from sucks to say, but monetary value, money. So affording those resources is just big. I do have a question. Does the NLI, is there IRS for the NLI? Because at Xavier, I had a bobblehead that I didn't get paid for. So I think I'm owed taxes or back pay. Like, I was sitting there listening to me like, it's not I can receive a dime for that. Like, I'm owed something. I want my money. Okay.
I feel the same way, Special. I feel like that needs to be retroactive, because there was a whole lot of 33 jerseys sold.
My money, but no, Title IX has been big. And then from a coaching standpoint, I think obviously Meek said it, women's basketball is on TV now, like a lot. You see it a lot. Women are making $1 million now. You see that. It's not like a shock when you hear, oh my God, someone's making over $100,000. That should have been the norm, but it's become the norm. And so it's so great to know that there are women that's paving a way for the younger coaches and the younger crowd, for us to be able to see it and say, you know what, I can attain it. That's great. Dawn Staley just signed for $22 million.
She did.
Like, and she's from inner city Philly, and Meek with where I come from, like, that's unheard of. And so to be able to see that and know that, yeah, futuristically, I can possibly attain that's anything better.
That's another great point that you bring up, because I credit basketball as being the foundation on which I have built my entire life. I got it out of the mud too, Special, so I feel you. So Benson, can you elaborate just a little bit more about the opportunity that the young ladies have now that's different from the one that we had? Because I remember going to an AAU tournament in Vegas. There were 3 coaches there, and somebody offered me a scholarship. But the game has certainly changed. Can you talk a little bit about that evolution?
Yeah, I think with the amount of exposure, amount of eyes, amount of investment that the colleges have put in to come out and see the grassroots, that wasn't the case back then. And so now you see that a lot more. So you get a lot more exposure, right? A lot more eyes on you, a lot more opportunity to be seen in hopes of, obtaining that scholarship, catching somebody's eye. I think there's a nice transition. I see a lot more working together of when our young ladies are done with the college level, helping to connect them with jobs and things like that, and possibly being a coach in college, possibly going into sports networking and broadcasting and things like that. There's just a lot of connection, and a lot of people I'm more in the grassroots where they're little. We're going to start a lot younger, connecting them to people that have already done it, so that they can really, really, really grasp a lot more skills and a lot more connection with what they want to be. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more opportunity, a lot more events, bigger venues, better venues. Like I said, a lot more eyes. They got shorter shorts, Celia. It's unbelievable. At this point, I don't, sometimes I forget I'm at a basketball game, okay? I don't know about you, but my shorts was long, okay? And we didn't have all these colorful shoes. Okay, let's start with that. We didn't have all these colorful socks. We had to wear white because of Tom. We didn't get a chance to wear black socks at all. It's just, you know what I mean? The uniforms are tighter. Title IX had to have something to do with that. I mean, for sure. Positive, Celia. No, it's affecting everything at this point. But yeah, I think it's allowing the girls to be more free and to speak up. Think about last year, right? NCAA tournament. Okay, I'm gonna stir some up a little bit. NCAA tournament, right? And who was that from Oregon? That was was that Sabrina? Was that Sabrina? No. Yeah, no, that was
I'm not getting in that, Tanisha. You are not about to
oh
drag me
yeah.
down that rabbit hole.
Listen.
I'm gonna stop you while you're in advance. I was just like,
Sedona Prince, Sedona.
Yeah.
Sedona. But here's the thing, Celia, she spoke up.
she did.
She said something, and women's basketball as a community had her back.
Mhm.
Period. From newscast, everybody was just like, "Oh no, this is about to change."
Mhm.
We didn't have that strong of a voice back then. That wasn't the case. Nobody, they would have brushed it under the rug. Think about it. That might not have been the first year. But because of the confidence, because of the support that we're now feeling, now you have women that are saying, oh no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. And I got all my sisters from women's basketball saying that's not gonna work. So the voice is stronger than what we've had before. And that's the part I love. I love the voice. I love the voice of where women's basketball is going.
That is a great point, Tanisha. A few things that you said that I really liked was, you're starting with this grassroots effort. And any special, Tamika, please chime in, because I really am, personally, I'm concerned about the state of women's basketball. Because when you look at youth programs, volleyball is growing, soccer is growing, girls basketball is shrinking. So how do you guys think that we can turn that part around? You know, I'm happy to hear you say you're going to start earlier, but special Tamika, you guys have any great advice on things that we can do to get girls to fall in love with the game like we did?
My goodness, I'm so glad you asked this question. I think we need better coaches. And I think we need less of Uncle JoJo's and Auntie Momo and more of people that have some sort of experience in it. Now, granted, yeah, I think, some people say you don't have to play a sport to coach the sport. And I understand that. But you at least gotta study and know the sport. There's so many people, and this is another reason why I probably never touched the AAU world, is because there are so many people that are coaching for themselves as opposed to helping children. There are so many, I see it all the time at the younger age, and this is what scares me. A kid can be 8, right? And because she's the tallest person, she's automatically the center, right? That's just what happens. Granted, after 8th grade, baby ain't grew no more. She 5'7", and has always been a post player. In my opinion, like as a coach, you're doing children a disservice because you don't know what they're going to be at that age. She can right now be the tallest, but there's 6'1" point guards, so I think it hinders them. I see coaches cursing out officials and attacking them and running after them. And to me, that's just crazy because you're the model. You're the model for your players. And so I'll give y'all a little example. I'm very transparent, so I have, for me, Janiyah Barker, right? A lot of people watch her play. She's number 2 player in the class, 22, blah, blah, blah. Very good. Gold medalist in FIBA this summer. I think one of the things, or one of the question marks about Janiyah was her attitude and the perception that people had on her in regards to her attitude. And I think, again, we hear things and people say things without ever having a conversation with the young lady. She's judged based off what other people are saying. And I think that to me is crazy. But in the coaching world, again, when dealing with kids, I think that referees, officials are supposed to be certified. I think coaches need to be certified. There needs to be some type of course, test. I don't know, make it up, but there needs to be, especially when dealing with children, because children, their foundation is the most important part of anything they're going to learn is the foundation. And we skipped that. Our kids are automatically Steph Curry and Kobe and Diana Taurasi, and automatic come out the womb like as that, and as opposed to I'm gonna coach this kid where she is and try to implement some things to where she can possibly go. Even here, I have kids that's gonna be pros on my team.
Mhm.
They're not pros right now, so I'm coaching them at this level, and then just adding value for them for when they go to the next level. And it's for the next level to add that value for them to become a pro. I'm not right now saying, yo, you a pro right now. That's not realistic. It's not realistic. There's so many more lessons they have to learn before that. And so, yeah, it's a lot of, yeah.
Well, I think the most important thing you said was the power is in the process. And somewhere along the lines in that process, we've started to skip steps, and we've started to not pay as much attention to certain levels as we should pay. I mean, you look at what Boston is doing in South Carolina. You talk about the growth of her game from last year to this year, and even at the younger levels, we should be more concerned with the process than necessarily the destination. So next question. I mean, we're really getting close to the end of our time here, but I don't want to stop. This is such a great conversation, but I really want to talk about your feelings on, those of us who have benefited getting back in the game, the importance of women who understand and women who know being a part of our game. How important do you think that is? And Tamika, we'll start with you, since you are the poster child for that. You've always been an advocate for women's basketball, just some things that women can do to get themselves back involved in the game.
I think the biggest thing is getting back involved in the game. A lot of what Special said is very true. I go to, for the last 20 years of my life, I've been spent Julys in gyms, and people that look like us are melting away from that factor. I don't see a lot of women coaching women's sports, and that's an issue. Muffin McGraw talks about it a lot. Don Staley and Carolyn Peck, some of the old heads in the game, and I think it's important because I lived through how important it is for a young woman to see someone in her likeness. They're going to open up more. You can move the needle faster. You speak their language. There's so many benefits, and there are not a lot of people in their lives maybe before that moment that look like them, that are succeeding at the level they might dream about, right? So that is extremely important on all levels. And I think it does start at grassroots. I go around these gyms and you don't see people that look like us. I also think you talk about the love of the game. We had recs, we have YMCAs. I do a lot in elementary schools and that's for boys and girls, because they don't have that. We played a lot of pickup. You can't find a park anymore. We used to be the America that established this basketball game, and that part on both sides is melting away. The other thing is you got to invest young. As we were coming up, like I said, I have an older sister, 9 years, and one 6 years. So the 9-year, everything, it was 3 or 4 AAU programs in each state. We all had to pick, it was like 3 or 4 of them. Now there's 1,000. There's 1,000. So if I'm not happy being coached under Special, I'm going to be coached under you. Then if I don't like you, or my mama might not like you, I'm going to go to Benson. And so we give them so many outs. Then we created a transfer portal. So, Special talks about these levels. They get this level, and then they go to the next level. Guess what? I don't like Coach Jennings. She looked at me weird one day, and I know she meant it. I'm going to coach. I'm going to University of Benson. So giving kids, establishing education, especially in the public school system, is important. So anybody who's listening, if you've succeeded or you have a college degree, go talk to young people about that don't have that. Because that's what I spend my time doing, because it has to start there, where education is key. They see a vision. People have to dream about being big. We dreamed about being something bigger. I wanted to get out of Jefferson Township, right? Ohio. I had dreams, but I talk to a lot of kids who don't dream about that. So doing that is important. These sneaker brands and stuff, when I came out, we had a Nike All-American camp for a week. We had Nike shootouts. We had this. We had Adidas. We had that. You had sponsorship. Overall, I'm just talking about, you know, the bakery down the street. People put money into it. That's why the WNBA right now is flourishing, because they're signing multi-million-dollar deals or six-figure deals way higher because of marketing. You know, so that's how they're doing contracts, because somebody's investing in young people, in a woman's life, a young woman's life, or women in sports. So I just think coaching needs to look more like us. I think sponsorship needs to step up and invest. If you want to talk about Title IX, put your money where your mouth is. And we need to look at our grassroots at all levels. First of all, from an education standpoint, because the public school system is melting. So do your piece in that. And the passion and love for the game has to come from us investing, people being able to coach. I go and I watch it. It's like, I got to watch it because I'm watching her best player play with some kids that are awful, and the coach is doing stuff that, you know, like, what kind of zone is that? What are you doing? So I totally agree with that. I think we give kids outs. I think we give, my kids are young, so everybody gets an award type thing. We didn't get that. You just started off the thing saying you were getting water your sophomore year, right? We're the people who value that, but we are doing a bad job as parents, as leaders, putting them in these situations, because then they can transfer at every level. And I think we put that in them.
Can I just say, I was gonna say that. I think the difference in now, and when I'm thinking about when I grew up, the villages are different. Like, I could never go to my grandmother and say, yo, Bert worked me too hard, or Bert yelled at me. And Bert would never, like JB, like I could never tell Bert, well, I don't want to play for JB because he's too tough. I could never do that. But now these kids, like, there's so many people around them that, well, I could go tell my mother. And my mother, like, because she ain't gonna let me face no adversity, she just gonna make me jump and run to the next place, and the next place. And the way the real world work, like, you don't get to do that. Adversity. I could never tell my grandmother, yeah, I don't want to go to this tournament this weekend because, I mean, we playing good teams and it's a little too tough. It's a little too hard. I got to do homework while I'm traveling to play AAU, because I played out of Columbus and I lived in Cleveland. So, but the villages look different. It starts in the house. There are so many parents that are not active in their kids' life. And when I say active, I mean like active. Hey, what are you doing on that internet? Going through their phone, checking their stuff. You know, there are so many kids. My wife is a high school teacher. And when I tell you the stories that she tell me, or the things that I can hear when I'm talking to her, like it's unreal. It's unreal. And you get kids sometimes where they come and if they tell their mama to shut up, they think they tell you to shut up. Well, I'll tell a kid off rip, I don't know how you talk to your mother. I don't care how you talk to your mother. That ain't what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here. And so if I ever hear my children, like my kids or my players, if I ever hear them talk crazy, I correct it immediately. Immediately. Any adult, any authoritative figure, I correct that immediately, because that's the problem. Like, that right there is the problem. Kids are arguing with officials because the coaches are doing it. Kids are cussing and all that on the bench because the coaches allow it. Like, no, it baffles my mind.
So, but especially, we got to get back to the standard of what we know. We know what the standard is. We've got to set it. It's got to be people that have, us women that have been in there. And I was going to add to your point, we got to stick together. We take on too many other people's issues that don't have anything to do with the game, and allow it to distract so much stuff that's going on. I don't know about for me, but Ohio, oh no, it's getting cleaned up, because I got too many young girls. They fired up. They ready to go. The game in Ohio, my babies, they're ready to go. The energy that these young ones are given about their futures and wanting, I can't allow all the extra distractions, all that. We got to set the standard so that we can have more WNBA players. I think right now, Jantel and Kelsey and
that's it.
Toledo. What's the name out of Toledo?
Natasha Howard.
Yeah.
Natasha Howard.
The guard.
And one in, yep, there you go. Yeah. So we got 4. We low. For us to be the third most recruited state in the country, we're low to have 4. So we got to clean up the stuff. We know what the standard is, and everybody don't understand that standard. We know what it is, and we've got to take more of a leadership role in our game, because there's a lot of people that's running this game that really don't care. They don't. It's about the bag. It's about, are we going too left? So you let us know if we need to come on back. It's about the bag. They're not worried about the girls. They're not worried about the futures.
It's the undermining too, though. Here's the other part I have about coaching, right? It's so much undermining of what people are doing to get these kids. Because if I'm the standard, right, and I'm holding people accountable, and kids are already rebellious against that. But if you go behind me and you're telling the kid that I'm wrong for holding them accountable because you want the kid, that's a lot of what's going on here. So even as the standard, it's not about the standard. There has to be more real people that's gonna come to the table and say, yo, I got a problem with you. I don't like the way you do stuff. I don't like what you're doing. We don't have that. What you have is people, if I got a problem with you, T, I ain't gonna tell you, I'm gonna go tell Tamika. Hey, me, I don't like her. I don't like what she's doing. And when I see you, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
And then Celia, I got a problem with Celia. And like, that's what goes on now. That's what goes on. So it's not even about, we know the standard. Of course, I've always known a standard. I've always held myself to a standard. But I also know that there are so many people out there undermining what I'm doing because of the fact
you hold the standard.
Absolutely.
So I think as we start to wrap up here, we're going to try to get some final thoughts here, but this conversation has really gotten interesting because we started talking about women being provided the opportunity with Title IX. So, and like we said, we're still kind of babies in this legislation. So now that we have the opportunity, we have moved to the responsibility. We all have a responsibility to now take advantage of this opportunity, but to also do it in a way that is very, very conducive to the kids of the next generation. So if you had to, if we had a crystal ball and we could all just kind of look in it and we could see the future of our game, just as one last final thought from each of you, what do you think would be what do you think would be the one thing that you would really like to see as women's basketball continues to evolve?
I would say don't jump ship when the boat rock. Adversity is gonna hit. Stand on your 2 feet and meet it head on. And like that's just my whole problem with everything as a whole. It's just that everybody, as soon as something goes wrong, it's the jumping ship. So just adversity is gonna hit. It's hit me in these 2 small years I've been here. I faced a ton of adversity. As a college coach, when I was coaching on the college level, adversity. As a player, so just stand on your principles. And when it get tough, meet it head on.
All right, that's a good one. Anybody want to go next? Go, Benson.
I'm gonna go next. I'm not going after the GOAT. I honestly would, if I had the crystal ball, I would like to see more of us former players get back and get involved. These babies need us. They do. And I get that a lot, especially in Ohio, because we have so many. They get so excited when they see former players come back and help. And I'd like to see more of us former players get back to it and then work better together.
That's a good point, Benson.
This one's hard. There's so much. I guess the only thing I would say to add on to what they said is to stand firm on your platform, not be afraid to have a voice. So much of what we teach in the game to young women is about their platform they have, but the voice. I mean, even my players now, they'll say stuff like, Coach Miko, I think this is really good, but I'm just saying, I don't know. But I mean, if it were, there's always a caveat behind what women stand on. And I think having a platform and having a voice and owning it is something that I would love to see continue. I think that's what really puts things forward, is when we have a voice and we don't apologize after there's something. They're going to be in lots of rooms with people as they work past playing basketball, right? That's why we do this. Not everybody's going to be a pro. The older I get, the more that sinks into me. But how can we establish that is by standing on your platform and having a voice.
All right, so you guys heard it here. Now that we have legislation passed, it's been 50 years. When we talk about the evolution of our game, we are looking at character building, players returning, and then women learning to own their voice. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We could continue this conversation. I can't wait to this weekend. Hopefully we can all get together and we can have a round table. So thank you guys so much for everyone who joined us. Thank you guys for joining us. Be sure to check out the tournament this weekend, Classic in the City. And that's all we have from our virtual sports report. Bye, guys.